Welcome to another cycle of Dirty Laundry Clean Confessions, a family podcast created for the next generation. Grandma Smarge can't wait to see what you'll become, Monk and Little Al. Live, pre-recorded from our family laundry room, with Smarge, Haas, and sometimes Otter, and always not the real guest. Here we hang it on the line with everyday ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. In the room where famous people are loved, adored, and admired, however, not invited, except for the great Willie Nelson, of course. Thanks for joining us in the laundry room while we fold through life's journeys. Here, we're keeping it real, washing through stains, and making colors a little bit brighter.
Marge.
Hey, Haas, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very good. We're actually recording today during the day.
During the day, which is odd.
It is odd. It feels a little weird, but I like it.
I do
But it does
too.
feel weird, doesn't it? Because it's usually at night, kind of quiet. Everybody's like settled down for the day.
Yeah, it's
Right
weird
now.
drinking during the day too.
That's very weird for you, Haas. But you're doing very well. I'm very
doing
proud of
it.
you.
Thank
I'm very proud of you. And
Me
I'm glad
too.
you picked it for today being a Saturday.
Me too. Yeah, I think it worked out. And our laundry room is almost done.
Oh my God.
It looks so good.
Not soon enough, though. Now Smarge is getting impatient. But it is. It's just to the very end.
Yeah,
I can't
we're
wait.
almost there.
So look at pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
We're moving along.
Slowly but
2
surely.
weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
The
And
studio
then it'll
will
be done.
2 weeks?
I don't know. If you've ever watched the old Tom Hanks movie, Money Pit,
Uh-huh.
he's with, I think it's Shelley Long from Cheers. And they're this young married couple. And they just bought this like mansion looking thing in like upstate New York, just picture perfect. They bought it from this wonderful old lady. And really it was a dump, right?
Oh,
so the lady leaves. It ended up being a scam. I'm sorry, you guys. Don't be one of those, well, I was going to go home and watch the movie tonight and you ruined it for me. I mean, this is from like the 80s, okay, guys?
Oh,
if you haven't
no.
seen the end yet,
Spoiler alert.
I'm going to spoil it for you. And it ends up being a scam. And they move in. And they call these contractors and like, oh, that'll be 2 weeks. Oh, that'll be, and every contractor says 2 weeks. However, every contractor's been there for like 8 weeks, but they're always like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So I'm just like 2 weeks, but it'll be done.
I have a good feeling. It's so close.
It will be.
Probably 2 more weeks. We just need to figure out how to tile. That's
Oh,
really the
yeah.
last
If
thing.
any of our listeners would like to email in about, hey, I'd love to come over and help tile. We have some tile patch up that we need to do.
Come on over.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we're doing.
We just want it to be level.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even
that's
care what
our
it looks
only
like at the end.
requirement.
Yeah. 'Cause-
We're going to have rugs on it anyway.
right.
But
We just need it kind of level.
yeah.
So.
So anyway, I was going to tell you about that wedding I just recently
How
went
was
to.
it?
It was so
Because
fun.
you were a little nervous. You didn't know anybody there.
I was
Marge
nervous.
was sending her off, and she was like, I hope they're all going to be nice to me. I'm
I
like,
was
they better be nice to you.
nervous.
What's going on?
No, I hadn't met anybody, and it was my boyfriend, all my boyfriend's friends. So it was like,
Aw, you were nervous.
I wanted to make a good impression.
Yeah.
It was the first time meeting a lot of them. So, but we had a blast. We had so much fun. I've just really recently realized that I don't think I'm a very good dancer.
Why do you think that? Because usually when I'm dancing,
Well, that's
I
the
don't-
thing.
care what other people are thinking. Did something?
Yeah.
Did you look around and go, oh wait, those are moves I don't have? Or what brought you to this?
I think I saw some video footage after the fact.
Oh,
Because in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it. Look at these moves. And then I saw some photos and videos after, so I was like, oh,
that's where you went
I
wrong.
don't like
No,
that.
you never look at videos of yourself
know.
dancing.
And I took like dancing lessons when I was a kid
Right.
and all this stuff, so I thought for sure I had some moves, but I don't know. I'm starting to think that, dancing, there's a lot more to it.
Well,
than
people
you
in the
realize.
professional side of any sort of dancing, they do video themselves and they learn
Oh.
from their mistakes, and then they learn and they watch themselves improve.
Mm.
So I don't think you should ever watch yourself dance unless you're a professional.
That's fair.
You know?
That's fair. And maybe-
Because you're supposed to dance like nobody's watching, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
my
I
favorite
definitely
episode
was.
of Seinfeld is, Elaine dancing but she does not think anybody's watching her. And I
She
love
does
it.
not care. And that's kind of how I felt, to be
So if it's a
totally
happy,
honest.
fun
So,
dance, I don't think you should ever look at. You don't need the feedback. You were happy.
Yeah.
You partaked. You had a good time. You were fun, and that's it.
that's true. That's true.
However, if you're a professional dancer,
Well, that's what I don't know how these professional dancers do it. I mean, you must practice for years. I think it's not something you can also be taught. Sometimes you just can't teach that stuff.
that's true. And also, I think they also have to be born with. They have to they have to want to do it. I mean, there has to be
that's
something
true.
in them
A
that
love for it.
because to me it sounds like a lot of practice and a lot of work. We see the end result, which looks great and fun
Yeah, exactly.
with professional people, but
But it's a lot of
it's a
pain
lot of work.
and blood and tears that go into that, I guarantee.
So
it.
do you have questions for anybody in that anybody in that field?
I do. Yeah. I think
perfect.
I really just don't understand. I mean, I think what my confession really would be this week is that I just genuinely don't know, what goes into being a professional dancer and how you even get into that field.
That's a good enough confession for me
Yeah, I just
because
don't know.
we actually have Miss A here
We do.
who is, and I think once you get to be forever a professional ballerina. Sorry, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, the
You
rest
get
of your life.
get that forever, I think. What do you think? Welcome, Miss A.
Yes.
Hi.
Thank you for being
Thanks.
here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
We are so glad you're here. And as I had said previously, you are a ballerina. That's what your choice of dance is.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I chose ballet.
When did you actually start dancing?
So I started when I was 6. I know some people are like, I started when I was 3 and I was
going to say, were you
but
too late?
no,
You got all these girls ahead of you when
No.
you're 6 years old.
no.
Oh.
I mean, you learn a lot of things when you're a little younger than that, but really,
Would you
For-
even have the coordination and that type of for
No.
your body and your brain to make that connection? I'm still working on it. I'm 50.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
no, I mean, most professional, so if you're thinking of the big schools in Europe or Russia where people are handpicked to be ballerinas, I mean, they don't really start them until they're 9 or 10 because that's when you start being able to mentally process the complicated muscle movements
Right.
and being able to hold yourself in the right positions.
It seems like a lot of coordination, for lack of a better word, but your brain has to be able to have control over your body and vice versa, I would think. And
Yeah.
that comes with time.
And really when you're little, when you're below the age of 8, I mean, you're starting to learn a little bit of that and you're starting to learn how to clap and learn how to follow instructions, but you're really playing games when you're,
at age 8,
That's true.
in the whole realm of the world, at age 8, you've only been walking for probably 7 years upright.
Yeah. Sometimes.
So you're
even
just
less
getting
than
that
Sometimes
down.
less, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just getting that down.
Yeah.
So
Let
I
alone-
get it. So the professionals, and I did want to go back to, you said the professional schools in Europe and Russia.
Mhm.
Does that mean America hasn't had the interest, or is just such a? I mean, we are a baby country in the whole of the world. I mean, what
Right.
is that?
So it's just a different, there are schools like that here. There's American Ballet Theater is a super pre-professional school. New York City Ballet has one, so School of American Ballet. There's schools in California that are like that. There are schools here that are like that where they hand select the students that go there to train.
okay.
So they're choosing you based on your body type and do you have a natural knack for it? And then you have to pass your exams or you're not invited back the next year.
Are those
so there's a
exams
lot of
physical exams?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And written or just
No, just physical.
Okay.
Wow, that's
Curious.
intense.
Wow.
But we are a little bit, because it's the land of opportunity right here in America. So if you have a pocketbook and
Mm-hmm.
your parents can afford to send you to dance, anybody can go take dance lessons,
Right.
which is kind of amazing and wonderful.
Well, that's nice. However, it seems like some truths could get mixed up in there, right? You could pay forever and ever, but
It doesn't mean you're going to make it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
You
And
have to
I
have
mean,
the
that happens
natural talent.
everywhere. But
And it's like that with sports too. Like not
Right.
every kid that takes soccer and is in club soccer is going to be a professional soccer player or even play soccer in college. It's the same. It's the same.
right.
Like,
For some reason, I just hold ballerinas in a different place.
I
I don't know if it's because of how I grew up or
that was another
I
question
just-
we were going to ask
I
you.
just
Is
look
it
at it as I just hold in a different place of like strenuous workouts and I don't know why. Maybe what was that movie that came out?
Black Swan?
Yeah, maybe that did something to me.
Yeah. Well, all those movies, man, they make it.
But to be so serious and then to have such a short career, I'm assuming, and then
Yeah.
it just seems like, and then I wonder about like in Russia, like say you get picked and then you don't do well, then does anyone ever see you again? Do you know
I
what
can't
mean?
speak
How-
to that because I'm
I
not
know,
Russian,
but I mean, like, how serious are they in Russia and Europe and everything about their ballerinas? Because it seems like a whole nother
Yeah.
ball game
I mean,
over there than what we have here.
yeah.
and it is different. Like they definitely, again, it's the same thing. Like not everyone gets chosen to be in the company or whatever. And so a lot of those dancers that maybe didn't make it into the into the company, for
Right,
instance,
right.
they may come here and then a lot of times they can get jobs here because again, they're
Okay.
going to be like the creme de la creme. Like
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
their body type, they're flexible in the right way, they're strong in the right way. They probably moved away from home and they lived at the school from the time they were 10 until they were 16 or 17.
Oh my God.
And
That's what I
they
mean.
trained every day, like
It's like a gymnast in the Olympics, I would think,
Right.
or
it's very
Right, yeah.
similar for those. Like they have their process. And of course it creates people who are excellent at the art form. So in that way, yeah, not everybody makes it even there,
even right.
so it's just kind of, it's also about like, are you in the right place at the right time?
Oh, like
Is the
everything
company
timing.
that you're looking at, because you can't audition everywhere, is the company that you're looking at and you want to audition for even hiring? Or do they want somebody who's like under 5'5", or
Do
somebody
most
that's
ballerinas
this,
like when you go out? Do most ballerinas like have a kind of a goal or something in their mind, like if I could work for this company, or so most ballerinas like have this goal of a specific company. They're not saying I want to do this and get a job anywhere. They are focused.
Yeah.
a lot of
sounds
times, I
like.
mean, most of the time you kind of gravitate toward the place that's going to be a fit for you and how you dance and your
Right, so
style.
you'll be
And
more accepted. Yeah.
so like, for instance, there is a company called Aspen Santa Fe Ballet. And when I was like in the like auditioning phase of my life, I didn't even bother auditioning for them because I was too short for what they normally would hire.
oh, so you already knew this.
So I already
That's
knew
helpful
that
in a
I was
way,
like,
yeah.
they're probably not going to hire me because most of their dancers were very tall. So they were looking
Do you
for
mind
this.
us asking how tall are you?
I'm 5'4" and like a half ish.
No, don't say ish. You claim that half because
Sure.
I am 5'1" and a half. You claim that half.
Yeah.
Claim it. I'm 5'2" and a half. So
Yeah.
Claim the half.
So I
Claim
mean,
it.
I'm actually kind of like a good height because I'm not too tall and I'm not
Exactly,
too short.
yeah.
So I kind of could be like a lot of places I could be like on the tall side for them or I could be on the short side for them. But that particular at the time, I don't know if it's still like that for them, but I mean, it was like kind of 5'6" was their
Okay.
5'6", 5'7" was their minimum. Same with like the Rockettes. The Rockettes are super specific. They're not ballet, but a lot of people that are ballet dancers end up going for a job with the Rockettes because it's lucrative and you can
Exactly.
work, like you can get contracts that are longer lasting and stuff like that. But again, it's like a very specific, like, 5'7" to 5'9".
I was going to say you have to be like
'Cause they
they're
want
picking
you-
it- yeah, they're going to be in
they're
level,
picking
and you're
you
also
to
holding on.
be-
They're holding on to each other
a
when
lot
they're
of
kicking,
times
right?
when they do the kick line. So
So could you just
they
imagine
want
if you're
you-
5'1" and between two 5'9"s?
yeah, they want you to be
feet will
kind
never hit
of
the ground.
matching because I mean it
And
is
that makes sense.
It's aesthetic too. So like a lot of
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think, the dance world is not always just about talent. It's about your full aesthetic and
Right.
how you
I think
fit
people
into
forget that too,
the
'cause
place that
at
you're.
the end of the day, your end performance is going to be a show. I'm
Right.
assuming in front of many, and so you have a visual of how that is going to look the best for your audience.
Right. And when you're, starting out, you're in the core. So which is the corps de ballet, which basically it's like when you're watching, if you ever have gone to the ballet, it's when you're watching the group of dancers that it's like everybody.
Right,
It's not
right.
the soloist dancing.
It's not like the star
duet.
Yeah,
or
the duets,
Right,
the
okay.
potages and stuff like that. So,
and they're called the corps.
corps de ballet. So
Corps
it's
de ballet.
spelled like
Okay.
CORPS, corps de ballet.
Yep.
Is that
Got it.
French?
Yes.
Very French.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did the French come up with ballet? Do we know?
Yeah. So
Or was it? I always
Yes.
wondered if it's the French or the
So-
Russians. To be
so-
very honest.
no. So that's a good question. So, I pulled it up just so I didn't say the wrong thing. So it was in the Renaissance courts of the 15th century.
Oh.
You're
So that's-
kidding.
Yeah. So ballet actually originated in the courts, and it was only danced by men initially.
Actually, that's not surprising.
I was just going to say, Haas, why are you
Right.
acting so surprised over there?
Yeah.
Take that
Right.
back. Thank you.
Like-
Thank you.
Like literally
About the
just
history.
Because
just
wasn't it
like-
Shakespeare plays? Only Shakespeare plays.
all
Only
men.
men.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like only
Okay.
men did it initially.
Wait, only men did ballet.
Which
Initially.
is crazy
That is
now.
just
What do
blowing
you
my
think the
mind.
percentage is now as opposed to female versus male ballerinas or dancers in general?
I mean, it's
Is there even?
it's a very high
Measurable?
percent of females.
Yeah,
Like
well,
women
are
now.
is the men is that even measurable?
Yeah,
there
I'm
quite
sure
a-
there's somebody out there that has this statistic
Well,
of
but
like
yeah, I
what
bet
how
wondering
many.
Men
because-
have a better chance because there's less men, so I bet they have a better chance of actually getting these careers.
Oh yeah,
I would
and they
imagine.
get, I mean, a lot of times because there are fewer of them, they get paid more.
Of course they do.
Um,
God damn it.
and depending, I mean, in the bigger companies, the men are going to be just as talented as the
But I
women.
do want to say, if I was a
But
ballerina,
you know, like when you get into smaller companies, a lot
Okay.
of times though, they don't have to be quite as skilled. They can start later. Like I know a guy I danced with who is very talented. Now he's older and is retired, but he started when he was like 19. But
wow.
he was able to kind of catch up, and because
that must have been his passion as well, and you must have had the
Exactly.
physical strength.
He
as
had
well.
the
It must have
physical
worked.
strength.
Everything worked for him. It sounds like.
Yeah. But that would be incredibly difficult for a woman
yeah, I
because it's just so competitive because there's just so many more,
I see what you're saying.
so many more women that are looking for jobs. And it's actually for smaller companies, it's hard to find enough men oftentimes. And
Do
to
they
find-
have women dress like I'm thinking of production shows? Do they have women as ballerinas dressing up as the men parts in ballerinas? Because they
Sometimes.
can't find it. Like
Yeah,
the
like a
opposite?
lot of times in Nutcracker, Fritz,
That's
which
what I was
is
thinking about.
Clara's little brother, was played by a girl. Oftentimes,
Yeah.
Just don't have enough men.
yeah, because we just didn't have enough guys to.
And later on, I'm going to ask you about some of your situations you've gotten into with your productions of Nutcracker, because you've done that for quite a few years. You were doing that, right?
Yeah, when I was dancing
Yeah.
professionally, I did the Nutcracker every year.
But then also you taught it
yeah,
to
and
your
then
students. That's what
and
I'm
then I
saying.
taught-
She, not
yeah.
just she was doing it then, she taught it for a lot of years. So we need to
Cool.
circle back to that at some point. But with the whole thing you're saying with the guys, and I get it, but hey, I think guys, we need more guy ballerinas out there.
Yeah, come on, guys. It's not just a sport.
And what are
for
they
girls.
well, and then
Are-
you're
what are they called?
surrounded.
Are they called-
also by like really attractive girls?
Yeah,
I'm saying
come on.
That's true.
in tight clothing.
That's the way to
Come
do
on,
it.
come on.
Meet all the ladies.
Are they called ballerinas?
No,
Okay.
it would be. They would just be a ballet dancer.
Ballet dancer. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just
Wait,
think this is an amazing.
So I want to
field
hear
still.
about the Nutcracker. Can we?
Do you want to go into the
discuss it
Nutcracker now?
I mean,
Yeah,
How many
of
times?
course.
do you
Whenever
do
I, as
that?
an American, hear ballet, the first thing I
immediately
think
think
about
Nutcracker.
is the Nutcracker and
Same.
Christmas.
I know
However, I know that people have ballet tickets all year round or
Mhm.
whatever, and they go to all these shows and everything, which is great. But I do always think about the Nutcracker?
I do too.
Because it's a cool tradition.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
And it's everywhere and it's fun.
And it is the most popular. I mean,
is it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's most people, like, if they've seen a ballet, it's the Nutcracker.
Mm-hmm.
Is
It's not like they've
Phantom
seen
of the
anything
Opera
else.
considered a ballet? Or not really? Phantom of the Opera? I
It can be, yeah. I mean, it just depends on how
it's
do it.
the production. So let's talk about the Nutcracker, because not only, well, let's first start with, you started ballet at 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So when was your first, well, let's start with your first audition for the Nutcracker and how old you were and if you made it, and then what you did after that.
Okay, so I was, let's see, that's a good question. I think I was like 11. And I'm from Wyoming, so again, small.
Huge ballet audience, I think.
No.
Right? No. No, I'm joking.
Not
I'm
really.
sorry.
I mean, it's pretty fortunate that I even
I'm
got
like,
out
how did
and
you
like,
even do that in Wyoming?
became a ballet dancer.
Okay.
I just had a really
I started on horseback.
I was gonna say, it seems like you should have been on a horse.
I kind of started on horseback and that got everybody's attention. Then they just shipped me off.
Yeah, no. I just was super fortunate to have really excellent teachers. Like my first ballet teacher actually danced with San Francisco Ballet.
And God love her for being in Wyoming.
Yeah, I think she was married to somebody that was in the oil business and he got transferred there. I can't remember the story, but she was definitely elderly by the time she was my teacher. So,
right.
But again, very fortunate because she I think she instilled the love of ballet for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I would think about being a young girl, and you started at 6 and now you're 9 or 10, 11 going into it, and then you're also in your preteen years and everything. And
everything
what
is
a
awkward.
Everything's awkward, but what a great time to be installed with your passion.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
feel
kudos to her.
fortunate.
Thank you, all you little teachers out there just teaching away.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And including yourself, because you were a teacher too.
I
We'll
was.
get there.
Yep.
We're going to
Getting
talk
ahead
about
of
that
myself.
later, Haas.
I know.
So
Don't ruin it.
So anyway, I was like at 10 or 11 and there's this Russian company that comes through to like the rural places. And I think it's like
pretty
Moscow Ballet or
cool.
something. And they perform the Nutcracker. And, like I was like a lollipop or something. I don't know. I had to wear this horrible.
Well, so you did the audition.
yeah.
And you made it.
I made it.
And
yeah.
you're a lollipop.
I was a lollipop. And so I was in the Land of the Sweets, if you're familiar
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
second act of the Nutcracker. And I was like in this white unitard with this like circular head.
That sounds
And it
so easy to dance in.
It was kind of awful
I
because
would
it was
think.
just it was a gross costume, not gonna lie.
No,
like many
it
other
sounds
people
so
had worn
cute.
that.
Did you know it was gross at the time?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah. I mean
You're
you wore stuff underneath it because it
Okay.
was like other people had touched that unitard. And I think they clean it and stuff, but it's just like a white unitard that
The idea.
Lots of sweat.
lots of
and
sweat.
exce-
And
activity.
most companies don't have like a extensive budget to like buy new costumes every year. So
Right.
a lot of times you're wearing a costume for a long time.
Right. What was the rehearsal like for that? For being the lollipop? Do you remember? Did it seem like
It was fine. I mean,
just
we
kind of cruise through it, or
It
what
was
was
fine.
it first? Let me back up. First, when you got the part, like when you were going to try out, did you have something in mind? Of course. I mean, I would think every little girl would want would like want one of the main parts. However,
it
how
doesn't.
does that work in an 11-year-old's mind?
Typically, it doesn't work that way though. If you're going to audition for a, like especially with a professional company, like typically you're not going to be like the star.
Well, yeah,
Right,
maybe
right.
not
As
your
a
first
child,
year,
right.
but-
And your first time you're trying out.
Yeah.
But
So
there's a part of you that knew that
oh
at 11.
yeah, I was pretty
Right.
aware, and there's a little politics involved. So, because I wasn't going to the studio that held the auditions, I also kind of knew like I'm probably not going to get prime because she pushed her students.
So you were
For those
at age 11. You
Like,
were starting
she
to
was
feel out
part
the
of-
politics of your own.
Yeah, she was
Sport,
the
you
lady
know?
who owned the studio was like helping them pick kids.
Yeah.
So she was like marking down who she wanted to do certain and of course it was like all of her students. And I still that was like a pretty good part.
Yeah.
For like what was available.
And you got in. I mean,
And I got in.
That's awesome.
And that was your first audition? I know it was your first audition for the Nutcracker.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was pretty fortunate. Like to be honest, I didn't have a lot of rejection.
That just means you were good. Doesn't mean you were fortunate. That just means
Haas,
you were talented.
you are so right.
Don't downplay this.
We're on the other side going, oh, wait, you're looking like this isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
Say this is an awesome thing.
You were
that
just
you
talented.
well, it sounds like you found your passion in somewhere like Wyoming.
Right.
And then you have this teacher that was from the West Coast, I think, or you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
and then all
West
that.
Coast.
And then it just kind of came to get timing.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds awesome for you, for a little girl with this huge dream in Wyoming.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
not to experience a lot of rejection, that means you were good.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put that.
Yeah, not that I didn't have disappointments. I mean, everybody who has ever
Right.
danced has disappointment. Like, you don't always get
Absolutely.
cast for what you want, and
Right.
but I feel like I was pretty fortunate. Like when I went to college, this is not recommended. Don't do this if you're an aspiring young
Are you
dancer.
listening,
But
little Al and Monk? If you're aspiring to be a dancer, listen up.
so I decided that I was going to University of Utah's ballet department. And at the time, it was like the third rated program in North America
Oh my goodness.
for ballet. And
Wow.
I was
In
like,
Utah. Nice.
yeah, it's,
nice.
Utah actually has, so Ballet
It's a
West.
beautiful Utah, or is it Salt Lake City? They're
Mhm,
beautiful
Salt Lake.
city. Yeah.
It is beautiful. And the company that's there, Ballet West, is like one of the, like, some of the people that founded that company, it was like one of the first companies kind of like out in the West, like
Not on
in
New York
City.
and-
Yeah.
Nice.
And-
shout out to them for
Yeah,
branching
so
out all
it's-
those years ago.
So it's actually, Salt Lake has a really good culture.
Nice.
Like they support the arts quite a lot there. So
Mm-hmm.
it explains a little bit why the program is good. And I know it went through some transition after I left, and I think they're rebuilding. But anyway, so I was like, I'm going to go to Utah. Like that's the program I want to go to. It's close enough to home that I'm like not going to be able to visit my mom couldn't visit me every day.
Right.
I was going to bring your
But
mom
if,
up
Far
on
like-
that.
enough, but
Yeah.
not too far.
But
This might be a perfect segue for a second to bring up your parents.
right.
'Cause the whole time I've been thinking, oh my gosh, in Wyoming, because I know you, I know what your dad did for a living, and a lot of it, and I know your mom, and she's a wonderful woman, and I'm just thinking, having this little girl in Wyoming that wants to be a ballerina, I don't know what I would have done if my little girl would have came to me and I'm in the middle of Wyoming. I would have went, oh, I don't know, you may have missed the bus there.
Yeah.
Can we
Don't you like these cattle?
yeah,
a
can't
little
we
bit
steer you
better?
over here to roping or something? Like, what can we get you into? I don't know. I just want to say there's got to be a shout out for your parents here, because there were lessons, there was driving, there was
And they drove me to a different town every single day. My mom in particular.
just shout out to your mom as
Yeah.
well, because talk about having your child and like, I'm going to be a parent and I'm going to continue being a very good parent. And if it's a different town every day, or weekend, it's a different town.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And would you like to share with people what your dad did for a profession?
So my dad was he was a truck driver. Like when I knew him in that phase of his life, he drove truck for a freight company. And so he would be gone, for a couple weeks at a time.
Oh, wow.
And then, but previous to that, he actually did have a dude ranch up in Jackson Hole. So he led
way.
outfitting, he hunted, he fished.
Outfitter, yeah.
He was a very outdoors man.
Wow.
And then here comes Miss
And
May.
then there's me. Yeah.
Here
And
comes
he's
Miss
like,
May in her tutu.
yeah, I think he didn't really, my mom, so my dad passed away when I was 13. So
Yes, and I am so
that's
sorry, but
hard.
however, you are part of the club.
DDC.
DDC, Dead
Wow.
Dad Club.
Welcome to the club.
And
Well,
that's
you've
part
been
of
a
our
part.
therapy.
You've been a part
Part
for
of
a
our
while.
therapy, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
So anyway, my mom told me, like, she's like, your dad didn't really understand why you wanted to be a dancer. He just was like,
But how
So-
awesome. He didn't understand. However, it didn't prevent you from going
Right.
forward.
correct. Yeah. He just was
And
like,
for your
it-
mom to be that mediator in the middle.
Yeah. And he just
That's
wanted
pretty
me
cool.
to do my best. Like that was kind of the
Aw.
great thing about my parents is that they, I I think I put a lot of expectations on myself because I was that little kid that was just like, I have to be perfect.
Oh.
But my parents really just, they're like, no matter what you do, as long as you do your very best, we're going to love you and support you, even if you're terrible at it. And
I have
As long as
goosebumps.
you love
Yeah,
it.
but I love it. That's finding that extra 20. That might be finding an extra $100 bill in the dryer. Not that happens very often,
That's a good
but
feeling.
yeah.
it's a good feeling. It's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah. So I feel
anyway,
lucky.
Back
about
to
that.
where you were at, but I just wanted to give a shout out to your parents because that couldn't have been easy.
Oh no.
No, driving me back and forth
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Through snow. I mean,
Oh.
wind.
And so much wind.
Because the weather,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the one thing about Wyoming is their weather is just awesome all the time.
All the
Oh, yes. Just
It's hit or miss. It's really hit or like you could be driving through the state in one day and experience all three things, like
100%.
snow, rain,
hail,
scorching
hail,
sun,
tornadoes.
Yeah,
wind.
tornadoes.
Yeah,
Tornadoes are
The
bad.
wind.
And that could
yeah,
be one day.
hurricane gusts. Like you could see a semi tipped over on its side because it got
and you
blown
just
over.
drive by and go,
Oh,
"Oops,
it's
I hope
gnarly.
everybody's
Yeah.
okay," because
Yeah.
it happens.
It's every day.
But
So-
anyway, back to where you were with your
So my college experience. So
your college experience in Utah.
I just decided, I was like, this is where I'm going. And it's the only place I auditioned for, which is crazy. Like most people audition for many colleges because you don't always get into your first choice.
Yeah.
Um,
You were just that confident.
no, I just was like, this is where I'm going. So I auditioned early,
That's
obviously,
called
because
manifesting your future.
It's true.
so I auditioned early because I was like, well, if worst case scenario, if they reject me, I can like do
Oh, how sweet! She's being so assertive with her future. However, she does have a safety net.
I'll come up with a backup plan. But I really
Right.
didn't have
You
one
need a
because I
backup.
hadn't picked a place.
Which
Other
is the
than
thought you
that,
had
that I
that
wanted
thought,
to go.
like I'm going to apply early just in case. To me, is your backup plan kind of stuff.
Right. Like I'll come up with something
Yeah.
if this doesn't work out. And I knew I could get into University of Wyoming's program because, well, I knew
I'm sorry. Did they have a ballet program?
no, they
Oh,
have
okay.
a dance
Nothing.
program that's
sorry,
kind of-
Wyoming. If you thought I was,
so they
being
have
considerate, but
they do have a
not.
dance program that's kind of affiliated with their theater program as well. So you can like, I could have still majored in dance. Actually, after my original teacher,
Mhm.
Shirley, when she passed away, because she also passed away when I was like 11. So I had like,
Oh no!
I had, like-
and she was the one that you met.
yeah.
But, oh,
so
I'm so sorry to
she
hear that,
passed
but
away
look-
when I was,
Oh,
and
what a
then
gift though
yeah.
she gave you.
but the woman who took over the studio is amazing. She actually went to the University of Wyoming
Oh,
and
no way.
and did part of her because she was like a theater buff, but she was a really lovely dancer. She didn't decide to dance professionally, but she could teach. Like she was amazing at tap, actually, and modern and jazz, and so.
Oh, that's awesome.
I knew the women who like kind of ran the program in Wyoming, and I knew that they would take me if I couldn't get into Utah.
We
So
will bring
and
you
actually
in,
one of
and we will
them,
love
so
you.
the one, her name's Marcia Knight, she taught the ballet
and shout
program
out to
there.
Marcia and Shirley.
Yep.
Is
So-
it Shirley your first?
Shirley was my first, and actually her name was Heather, was my
Oh.
the one that took over. But at University of Wyoming, the lady who was like kind of in charge of the ballet program, like she taught ballet there. She was the one that was like, you should try for Utah because that's where she had gone. That was her alma mater. She danced professionally. She was a beautiful dancer.
Nice.
And she is like, they have a great program. I think that you could make it into that
Oh,
program.
nice.
And so she kind of encouraged me to like, she's like, we'd love to have you here, obviously, but she's like, you should like go somewhere
What?
else.
Yeah.
But
if you
what
wanna have a
great gift to
career.
give you, right?
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't she want to be with one of her little bestie students and everything? But like,
And
I
she
think
knew
this is
she-
your best fit, and
Good-
I want
good
you to
school.
thrive, Miss
Right.
A. So I want to send you here.
Yeah. And
That's
so she was the
wonderful.
one that kind of encouraged me to, but she also was like, you might not make it.
And that's
Well,
what we
she's like,
need.
it's super
though.
competitive.
But
She
I
was
think that's
honest
what
with
more
you.
teenagers need. They need that. Of course, teenagers are faced every fucking day with the brutal honesty of life. I think that's what makes it so hard on them is they're starting to realize.
Like, oh, life
Life
kind
is
is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
And
to
you
have
need
someone
figure it out and
say,
work hard.
you know, yeah, this is where you're at. You'll be okay here. but you might really thrive over here.
Right.
To me, that's an awesome message.
Yeah.
When you're a teenager, especially.
And I loved the program there. I mean, it was
because you probably weren't a little dick either, like teenagers can be. You know, Smarge loves teenagers, and we're trying to get away from that, right? So she probably wanted to keep you. She didn't want to send you away in a way.
Yeah.
And so she kind of made her little sacrifice, I think, too.
Well, maybe. I mean, because she just knew
had
that
to
if I
love
wanted
you.
to dance professionally, I probably would have to go
Somewhere.
to a
There you
different
go.
program.
And
And
love languages are all different languages.
yeah, and I loved Utah. I mean, it was
So when you
intense
got there and you
competitive,
got into
but-
the program, you didn't have a feeling of like, oh, what did I do? Like you had a feeling
no.
of I made the right decision. I'm going forward.
Yeah, and I liked
Awesome.
it there. And it wasn't for everybody. Like a lot of people quit.
That was my next
Really?
question.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you started
Why?
freshman year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure what this classes and the schedules are structured like, but I'm sure at some point in that week, your first week, you found your group of who was there for what you were there for, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you
how
know,
did that work? Like, how many people were still there after 4 years?
so let's see. I'm trying to think of the exact numbers. I know we started. So you know, they have hundreds of people audition, and I think that there was like 16 of us in the freshman class.
Wow, so a real small community.
it?
Small.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
right there,
then-
it tells you that
And then your first year, you're actually on probation, so you have to.
even though you've been
Uh-huh.
accepted,
You've
and
been
you've given them
accepted the
money,
program.
and you've given them money, and you're
Oh yeah.
learning.
So you can still be kicked out after your
Oh,
first
man.
year. So you have to
No
get
pressure there.
yeah, and I think you had to get like a B or better in your ballet
was this-
classes to be able to progress. So once you were like made it past that year, then you were okay. But
Was this also your? Was this just the dancing classes, or was this your like 101? I'm assuming you had to take some 101 English as well.
oh
It's
yeah,
like
yeah. This is just for the ballet program.
just for the ballet. Part.
So I was
okay.
like
Thank
the
you.
university had accepted me, and that like I was in the university, and so I could have like if I had to, it was only the ballet program.
So you wouldn't have had to
Well-
leave the whole university if it
No.
went south.
This was just
Thank
their
you,
way
thank
of
you.
weeding out the people that really
And I
weren't
get that. I
passionate
appreciate
about it,
I
you know?
appreciate that.
So
Yeah.
that
I
makes
just would hate
sense.
for someone to be kicked out of the whole university.
No,
Oh,
you
gotcha.
wouldn't. You'd
Okay.
you'd still get to stay if you chose. I mean, you might not want to.
Yeah, that's true.
But and you know, a lot of girls just decided, yeah, I don't think I like this because
a lot
I mean,
of work.
we took. So in the ballet department, you still had to take all of your general education classes, your freshman courses like
Mhm.
English, all of that, to fulfill your general education requirements. And I think like I was a nutball, so I took like 20 credit hours a semester
Oh
because
my
I was like,
God.
I knew
was
she was going to say that.
I was like, I wanted to get the most out of my university experience, and I had a scholarship that covered it. So
Oh, nice. A dance
Um,
scholarship?
There
I
you go.
had-
And there's another. I mean, that's awesome too. That's how hard you work. That's how this was your passion. You had
yeah,
scholarships.
so I had a dance scholarship, and then I had an academic scholarship, and then I also had this separate thing, which is actually something that is a Colorado thing, and they had branched out into Wyoming and I think New Mexico. But the Daniels Fund, it's an organization that's a nonprofit that is run out of Denver, actually.
Oh, no.
Daniels, is
I-
that out of DU?
Daniels Fund, no, it's like a separate.
Okay.
It's not affiliated with
Okay.
any university as far as I know, but they basically provided me with. They covered everything else, so anything my scholarships and grants and things didn't cover, they would just cover the rest. So they covered my room and board. They bought me a computer when I first started.
So you applied for this?
Yeah, when I was like a just junior.
Okay.
And then I had to
That
do
is
like all
phenomenal.
these weekend courses. It was, I mean, they
Is
made you
this
work
a way
for
to keep
it.
the arts going, or is it just some
No,
separate
it's
thing? It just
general.
wasn't just a general. Well,
Yeah, I had a friend
That
who
is
was who
very
went to
cool.
mines, so he went to engineering, and he got it the same scholarship as I did.
that is
So
awesome.
they just were trying to provide debt-free education
Oh
for
my
people
God, that's so
who
nice.
who had like a single parent family, like they had a parent pass, or they had a situation where they couldn't afford necessarily to go to school. And thank goodness, because you don't make enough doing ballet typically to pay for a degree.
Was the other thing.
Right.
Like, so
Exactly.
you're
So-
in getting your schooling, which you need,
Mm-hmm.
but then you can't make money yet. Because or do they hire ballerinas when they're in university? Like, do you have to be
Yeah,
graduated?
No.
I-
Yeah,
Okay.
you would just wouldn't have
Oh,
time.
and then that whole
right.
time thing, because you have to
Yeah.
study too. And
I mean,
practice.
technically, yes. And University of Utah would allow, like, if somebody, for instance, got like an apprenticeship with Ballet West when they were like they're in their junior year, they would count the time in the company toward their credit hours for their
Okay.
degree. So
Oh,
it's not like
nice.
you were like stuck there. I
Right.
just chose
That's
not
cool.
to audition because I was like, I just need to get my school done.
Yeah.
And I
Do that
took so
first.
many credit
you hear
hours
that?
because I
Little Monk. You know? Did you hear that, guys?
Get
She
through
wanted
your
to
school.
get her education sound.
Yes.
yeah, and I chose to. I mean, some people don't go to school.
Good for you.
For they'll just go straight into a company out of high school, and
Which is
and that's fine too.
But
But
it's
how
nice
long-
that you have
okay,
a backup plan.
maybe this
God
might be
forbid anything happens.
Time to move on to my next question, which is, I assume the lifespan, unfortunately, of a dancer, a ballerina, is not a real long one.
Yeah,
It's like, I mean, worse than Hollywood acting for actresses. I miss for women.
I
I'm
was
assuming.
thinking comparing it to
Because
like
also it's
football
that-
players.
oh yeah,
Oh,
because it
right,
it only
right.
takes one
Although
bad
I don't-
injury
but-
to like. I mean,
But hold up, I don't want to compare a ballerina to an NFL player.
That's fair.
Okay,
But
so
like
I just want to say that. But
let's say sports.
I
player.
respect both of them for their things and everything. But
Right.
when you bring in NFL and then ballerina and the money, it just disgusts me that it's so biased. It's so heavy on one side. So I
Right,
didn't
right,
want to
right.
make that compare. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
It's a little different, and I can see it
Yeah.
can end up being a lot different in your future.
yeah.
So what is the average time of dancing and
I
living-
would
I
say
mean, for
probably
the-
most. I would say probably most dancers. They might get 10 years. Some might get less. Some might get more. I
now
had
I'm
less.
taking Hossip off the floor because she wasn't ready for that answer.
Yeah, but like early 30s is usually, because also
You have to think about your body, and you're
Yeah.
and other people are depending on you.
right. Well, and it's also it just really takes one injury to kind of
Mm-hmm.
totally change that for you. So, and it can happen in a split second.
Which that did happen.
Yeah, to me. So
and I'm
what
so sorry
happened?
it happened to you, Miss A.
it's okay. It was part of the risk.
But
right?
hey, this is why she continued with her education as well, and
Yeah.
not just putting
all my eggs into one,
one
basket.
basket. Right, right.
Yeah,
'Cause it
so
can happen,
Yeah,
no matter how good you are.
Yeah, and I was I'm a very hypermobile body, so I was like always really flexible, which is great. It's good for dancing. You make the aesthetic, it's impressive, but it also means that your joints are a little looser, right? So I've like dislocated multiple things on my body, but the big one for me is I was like stepping into a turn and my knee just dislocated, and it was just the wrong like angle and everything that it like damaged the cartilage under my patella. And I had to have surgery. Like it was bad enough that it like kind of stopped my joint from moving.
Oh
So
no.
so I was out for like pretty much a full season. And I was fortunate because I made myself useful by when I couldn't dance, I taught company class.
And she didn't
Ran
she's like, I
rehearsals.
taught. No, it was like a whole nother full-time job when
Oh,
she
I'm
was
sure.
but she was still doing her other full-time job.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
And did that help you heal mentally in a way?
somewhat. I
I
mean,
mean, you got to be angry at the world. I mean, for
Right.
a moment. I mean, even though it's no one's fault, that's just what. But God,
Right.
you have to have some anger.
yeah, I mean, it was upsetting, obviously.
Yeah.
And you like work your whole life for that, and then you're like, well, that was like a half a second, and it's just totally changed. Like everything's
Oh my
changed,
God. Just like that.
just like that.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got through the season by just helping out in other ways. Like I ran rehearsals. I taught the choreography for like Nutcracker, and because I'm fortunate that I am able to like reverse things and I can learn multiple people's parts. And so I was able to set some of the core work.
And she's not the type of person to stay in the past either. And she's not the poor me. Not a lot of, damn it, this sucks goes on
not a
with Miss A.
victim with you. You're just going to move forward.
like, I'm going to find another path. So kudos to you as well.
So I just helped the company in that way. And then I did try to come back for the next season, which I was able to dance, but it hurt. I mean, I didn't probably give my body quite enough time to heal. So I continued dancing for about 5 years after the injury, 5 or 6. And, I got through it, but I was hurting a lot while I was performing.
Do you think that first year too was like, if I don't get back in this first year, I might not ever get back?
Well, and I would have lost my contract for sure.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, that's because I didn't realize you had a contract.
Yeah,
so,
you're contracted, and your contract can also not be renewed. So just because you get a job with a company doesn't mean that you get to stay with that company. It is based on your performance.
Each season.
So if they decide that you're not up to snuff, then they'll just not renew your contract.
Could you imagine having to keep your mental brain and capacity to be rehired again, but then your whole physical thing to be rehired again?
Yeah, it's stressful. Yeah, and a lot of places are like that. Like again,
it makes sense.
The Rockettes is another example. They make all their dancers re-audition every single year. So you could have danced with them for 15 years, and they'll make you re-audition. Every single year. So you have to kind of stay on top of your game.
Little side note, Smarge's great-grandfather was one of the head photographers for the Rockettes.
No way.
For 22 years.
Wow.
Back in I think it was like the 1940s. It was right after the Depression. Like the 1940s, a little bit of the 50s.
So yeah, and speaking of the Rockettes, I mean, those girls, all the dancers I've ever met are obviously gorgeous. Like, did you have like really strict workout regimens and diet regimens? Like, were they really strict about stuff like that? Because it's just kind of unfortunate that you have.
Or was it on your own plate how you wanted to handle it?
It depends on the place that you're at. I mean, they will encourage you to stay a certain weight and.
Yeah. Do you feel like you experience the pressure that sometimes we hear, and especially right now in the last 5 years we've heard from the gymnastic girls and the schools that they would go to, and unfortunately there was that thing with the doctor who
that was disgusting.
Was not good. It was very disgusting. It was just terrible. But I'm not necessarily talking about that. But the girls did talk about this whole what's the word I'm looking for? This whole idea of how you're supposed to be, and it did become so much pressure that it created eating disorders. Do you feel like that's like by each school, or do you feel like that's like the whole profession when it comes to dancing?
I think that it can definitely be where you're dancing. I know some places are worse about it than others, and there were companies that I chose not to audition for because they were
nice. So you kind of have an idea.
Yeah, you do kind of have an idea. And I was fortunate, like in my early life, like my teachers never said anything about our weight. They just let you be what you were. Be healthy.
Right. Be healthy, happy.
You should eat like you need to eat because it fuels your body.
But you also knew the schools or the organizations to avoid in a way. And
I did get a little bit of it more in college and more, of course, when you're dancing professionally, because you're surrounded by it, and everybody comes from different backgrounds. So there is definitely some pressure to be ultra thin.
So after your injury, you kept auditioning for about 5 years. Is what I think, and you were doing okay, but it was hurting.
Yeah.
At what point were you like, this is hurting too much, and it's kind of interfering with my life and who I want to be, even though this is my passion, this is my dream.
Right.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I need to, as Matthew McConaughey would say, I need to pivot.
Yeah.
Pivot.
So.
Or Chandler and Jennifer Aniston. What is it on Friends?
Yeah,
with the couch. Pivot.
Ross.
But at some point you found, like, what was that for you? Like, do you have like one specific moment where you remembered, this is my passion, this is my dream, my parents backed me up, I love this. However, damn it, I have to pivot.
Yeah. So I had been dancing with a new company for a season because I had left. Well, the company I was with basically folded. Because that happens.
That's way better them folding than you folding.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sorry, but I gotta say that.
So I was dancing with this new company, and they had renewed my contract. They were expecting me back, and I was having, so after I had my surgery, also kind of a double whammy for a dancer, I had this autoimmune thyroid disorder pop up.
Oh no.
And isn't that when autoimmunes usually pop up? When your body's under a sort of stress that they're not used to. Damn it, I'm sorry that happened.
That's okay.
Darn it.
So I like kind of kept it. I mean, I was feeling it, and I had figured out, like, we figured out that I had it, and I was on medication trying to figure out Hashimoto's. Yeah. Okay. And so I've been dealing with it for years, and I've been and I was just like having more things, like my other knee started hurting.
Oh no, because then that your other knee's favoring.
I was using that side so much to just keep dancing. And I went to the doctor, and I was talking to her, and she's like, I'm like looking at your adrenals, and she's like, I think you're gonna have to make a choice. Like you might need to take some time off from dance. She's like, I think it's stressing you out so much, and you're hurting so bad that it's like no longer good for your body.
And if it's messing with your adrenal ratings, then that means it's messing with the cortisol and everything you're supposed to be sending out into your body.
Which again, then it's hard to keep your weight down.
And that's right. And to me,
all that.
That's kind of where the whole physical part of your body and the whole mental part of your body starts to get meshed. When those the adrenal glands and all of that and
your
the cortisol
body's telling
starts
you
to fight,
something's wrong.
Oh.
Yeah. So I went to.
Did you have a lot of confidence in this doctor, or did you want to go to another doctor?
No, I did. I had gone to a couple different doctors and kind of talked to them about my situation, and so I went to the director of the company, and I was like, here's the deal. I told her, and she had an interesting background because she was actually a psychologist. So she had gone to our psychiatrist, I should say. Sorry. So she had gone to med school.
Oh, cool.
So she was like, oh yeah, you need to take care of this. And she was super supportive. And so she actually brought me on as the company manager. So then I just stepped into a different role. So
That's awesome.
Like helped run productions.
Now, is she the one that when I came into your life and you were doing a lot of the Nutcracker plays?
Yeah.
Is that who this was?
So that was with her.
That's very cool.
So I just kind of stepped into a different role. Like I taught some company classes.
Oh, that's great.
How did you feel about that transition? Or did it kind of just happen so quickly you didn't have time to think?
I was really sad not to be performing. Yeah. And there's parts of me that I'm like, wish I could go back to it. But at the same time, it was the right choice.
And you still got to be involved.
I still got to be involved.
You were in the front line.
What I think is great, Miss A, is you were presented with something that was in a way taken away from you. Mm-hmm. And I'm so sorry for that. However, you, instead of being so involved in something's been taken away from me, oh my God, I've been given a gift at the same time, because this person still thinks I'm valid.
Right.
Still wants me a part of this company in production.
Still be a part of it.
And I'm just sorry that happened to you. However, I'm so in awe that you saw in that moment a gift too, because I think I would have I think we all know me. Spiraled. Everybody had to bring me back and would have to say and paint it out for me and go, it's not that bad. Look at this.
Right.
Yeah. And it really got me into teaching more. So I ended up teaching and kind of finding my passion for teaching.
And how long have you been my teacher? Because she's a really good teacher. She's been my teacher for, I don't even know how many. How many years have you been my teacher?
Let's see. Well, I started at
when you were
the Pilates studio.
Like, I don't want to name your age if you don't want to. Okay, so 14 years. Okay. So, and Miss A was, I remember when she was introduced to me, and she was kind of quiet. Wonderful, but kind of quiet. And I remember the owner at the time of the company, who was also a teacher, she says, I think you guys are going to get along great. I want you to be someone that like registers for her classes. Mm-hmm. She's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Because sometimes people don't register with people that are quiet or kind of like, it's not that Miss A is quiet. It's like when she talks though, I mean,
she has something important to say.
And it's just a different way of things. And I got it right away. Yeah. And then of course she's a favorite now. But I wanted to finish up with the teaching thing. And so she said, let's put you in a different role, and let's put you, because weren't you in charge of like some girls, and what was that like for your first production that you weren't going to be in? I guess that's what I'm getting at. You're in it because you're getting all these girls ready for the Nutcracker.
You're in
and everything.
backstage.
However, you're not in it.
Yeah.
And it seemed to have happened for you really quick.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of weird. I mean, of course I was like, oh, I miss the dancing part of it, but I really didn't miss that. I mean, there's just a lot of drama when you're, you know, in a with a bunch of artists and performers.
And,
So like that part of it, I was like, oh, yep, I can just be
So
like.
you felt more drama as being an instructor and in charge of things than you felt as being a cast member, so to speak.
No,
Lack of
I
better
definitely
words.
felt
Oh,
like,
you
I
did.
mean, I was like, wow, this is like, people just overreacted to stuff. In my opinion, I'm like,
Right.
it's
So as a
like,
dancer, you were able just to brush that off. You're like, they're overreacting, whatever. But as a teacher, you're hearing everybody.
yeah, you
overreact.
get a little bit of the drama, but I was also able to kind of stay outside of it because it wasn't really like, I was just trying to make the show
Involving
run
you.
smooth and,
Right.
you know, and of course because the girls that were like the dancers in the show, like I danced with them, like they were the, you know, so it was probably a little bit weird for them because I stepped outside
now
of
all of a
like
sudden
being
you're-
like a coworker to being like,
Their boss almost.
An informer or like,
you know, like I would teach the company class,
let's
or
say
I
it's
would,
a boss. Let's just say you were the boss. Because
No.
you had to say what looked
Kind
good, didn't
of.
look good. Not in a bossy way, but
right.
you were in charge. They were not anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I was
you were
just in a
dealing with
different, yeah, I was just in a different role.
Right.
And so it changes your relationship to people a little bit. And I've gone through that transition a few times.
Yeah.
Now, your first one that you were involved with the production, but not actually dancing, but teaching them and everything. How many more years did you do that after that?
Oh,
Because
okay.
I think it was quite a few, so you must have liked it. You must.
Yeah, I did it for a while. Yeah. So,
Because I think I brought my girls when they were younger
uh-huh.
to one of your first ones. I think at I don't know if it was one of the first ones, but at the Belmar Theater.
Yeah, Lakewood.
Lakewood.
Oh,
And I remember, and even Otter was there.
Really?
I even got a ticket for Otter. Yeah.
Oh,
So I had all 5 girls and Mick, Poppy G, and I, and so I do remember that.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. You never got to see Miss A because she was behind the scenes, but it was.
Yeah.
But knowing what
put
she'd
it all
gone through,
together.
knowing everything she'd gone through, and then just seeing this wonderful production of the Nutcracker,
Yeah.
like it made me cry happy tears. It
Oh, I
really
bet.
did. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
and you did that for years afterwards.
Yeah. I did it for a long time. I mean, I really kind of quit doing that when I bought the Pilates studio.
Oh,
So I
and
really
that's why
pivoted.
she's been my
I was gonna-
teacher. And that's why she's been my teacher for 14 years. is I
Yeah.
found this wonderful little place that was this little Pilates studio and owned by a woman that I didn't realize I had known from my past until I met
Oh,
her
that's
again.
right. Yeah.
And then as she went through her life and everything and just made this great little place to go to, she found this wonderful little gem, Miss A,
yeah.
and brought her in. And then eventually she got to buy and take over. And it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So how did you get into Pilates then after?
So I actually I did my Pilates certification when I got injured.
Yeah.
When I originally had the injury and I was like waiting for surgery and fighting with workers' comp and all of that, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to dance after this. Like, it's pretty bad. So I was like, well, what would I want to do if I wasn't dancing? And I had done Pilates when I was a kid as part of my training. I did it
I
in
did
college as
not
part of my
realize
training.
that.
Oh, cool.
So I knew what Pilates was.
Because for me, Pilates didn't happen until like 2003. And I thought that was the day I discovered it. So I thought that was the day it was invented, right? Like I didn't, I mean, I
found this
knew
great
about
new
Joe
thing.
Pilates. I knew about but the way they had portrayed Joe Pilates for so long, he was, they kind of portrayed him as a little quirky.
He was a little quirky,
But I mean,
but
I'm
kind
sure
of a
what-
genius. I mean,
However,
obviously.
I had no idea you had a Pilates background when you were dancing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Look at
it
what
was
you'll
part of
learn.
my-
Look at what you can learn.
I still
Yeah.
need to try Pilates. I've heard it's amazing. And it's probably great for your recovery, too.
It's the only freaking thing
was.
I've ever stuck with.
Yeah, it was the thing that it did help me. It helped me stay strong enough that I could go back to dancing when I couldn't really dance all that well. Like I was able to
And you knew
work.
this from your previous experience with Pilates.
Right.
Like you knew that
And
would be the thing to help you with physical therapy and get you back into
And I was
moving.
fortunate because I went to a physical therapy place that had Pilates, and they supported me. They actually ended up giving me a job.
Because they just felt so bad for nothing.
Yeah.
I think they gave her a job for her enthusiasm and intelligence in this situation. But
so I was like going there for PT, and the owner was like, "Hey, do you want to just like work at the desk for a bit?" Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, sure." So I got a job there, and they helped me go through they didn't pay for my training or anything. I had to pay for it.
But the fact that they
let me practice on the PTs.
Cool.
So a lot of my experience was like, they'd be like, "Oh, this exercise is really great for people with this injury." So it really helped me kind of end up at the studio that I now own because that.
But it also helped you stay connected in a way to dance.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, like, oh, this is an injury and this will really help you. I'm assuming you're still geared towards dance and those type of injuries.
Yeah. And I was thinking like, I'm going to get Pilates certified so I can help dancers. And then I realized like dancers don't have any money. So I'm probably going to have to go with people who
now
pay
she's
for
stuck
Pilates.
with the old housewives.
Ding, 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 ding. And now I
she's / therapist.
Yeah. So now I work with mostly people who are over the age of 50 or
you wouldn't believe
60.
this. I have to say something about this Pilates too that she did take. I mean, you would think it's crazy that I'm saying this, but I think I'm one of the younger people that go in there.
Yeah,
Really? And I am 56 years old. And these older people I see coming and going through that door, all they do for me is give me freaking inspiration, and they're telling me in their way I am in the right freaking place.
Right.
For
if I can do it,
for a good lifetime, for like this is my lifelong, no negotiable. Like some people make that agreement with French fries. Okay, I'm never gonna have another French fry. It's bad for you, or whatever it is. My non-negotiable is I'm always gonna have to have this Pilates or some sort of exercising in my life because of what Miss A and the former owner of this studio developed, and the majority are older and they are working their asses off to get the best out of their lives. And then they have Miss A and all these others that are backing them up.
I feel like we could have a whole nother podcast about you operating this business and what it's like being a business owner.
At some point.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Because you've owned it now for how many years?
2
years.
Yeah.
And the first 3 years are the hardest. I don't know if they've told you that, but you're almost there.
I know. Yeah.
She's over halfway there.
1 more year. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Over halfway
I need
there.
to come still. I've always wanted to come to your studio and try it.
Yeah, you should.
I've never done it before.
You should give it a try. It's fun. I mean,
it seems like a blast.
Your session would be very different than like someone who's like 87. But
that's the other thing. Like, oh yeah, I didn't want to turn anybody off by saying, "Oh, I'm not going there."
Oh no,
because
they're all old.
Sorry, the instructors are all so versatile. That's the other thing. I've had 2 spinal surgeries. I can go in there, and each instructor will know that they're not going to push me to do something I don't think's right, and they'll work with you.
Right.
You know, even if you're in a class, you know, they're not going to just blow you off. It's not like going into some of these. I don't want to name any names because I feel each individual workout place is great, even if it's under a big name, like 24-hour fitness. I think you can go into one, they're great. You go into another, not so great.
And it's all
but
about
when I'm saying you go into this place,
and what you need and what your body needs.
It's definitely personalized.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
Not that this matters, but the price point on all of it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how you guys offer what you offer. I remember telling the former owner that. You guys offer a lot, and the prices, when I look online, are really good. I mean,
that's awesome.
Because they're not greedy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're capitalizing.
Like everyone else.
And they're not being greedy.
Would you look at that?
There you go, little Alan Monk.
And
I want you to learn that too. But I hope we didn't hop around too much, but this whole life of the ballerina has always been like,
honestly, there's so much to talk about.
Because when you're
like
a little
we just
girl,
barely
but I think because when you're a little girl, you just imagine those little, you're finally going to get your pink little slippers and you're going to get your little tutu and you have it made. I mean, and what a great way to feel you have it made when you're 3 or 4.
Right.
Well, then to continue it on your life, I think is pretty cool. And the way you've been able to pivot and maneuver everything that's been thrown at you, just being born in Wyoming.
Very impressive.
I mean, as a ballerina,
Have had lots
can
of
have its
hurdles.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think it's great what you've done.
That's so
and
cool.
shout out to Miss A.
Do you have any old like photos of you when
Oh,
you were
we
a
have to ask
ballerina?
her 5
Yeah.
on the line too. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we would like photos of you.
Okay. I can give you
old, new, whatever you want to put on there, and we'll go through it. And then our listeners can look on our Instagram and see
you
some
as a
pretty
cute
cool.
little ballerina.
Yeah. I can send you a couple
We would love that.
options.
So I wanted to share one quick story because I used to be a ballerina when I was like 5. And my first recital, apparently, I was very excited. And
you have to remember,
I knew the
Haas was a twin
moves. Yes.
Of a boy
But he wasn't there. He
and an
was in
older
the
brother,
audience.
so there wasn't a lot
But-
of ballerina going on in this household when she
No.
was little.
It didn't last long. I think it quickly maneuvered to, wrestling and
Yep.
soccer and
But I love that you had
hardcore
that
stuff. But
attitude to be a ballerina.
my first recital, apparently I was bossing around all the girls and telling them that they were doing it wrong mid-recital, where there's all of our parents in the audience and I'm just running around fixing everyone's posture instead of doing the dance. And basically ruined the recital for everyone.
Oh,
So
I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure people thought it was hilarious. I mean,
I
little
mean,
kids are like
it
the
was-
funniest.
That's funny.
At least you didn't like sit down and pee.
If
or
I'm
something.
gonna have to
mean-
call my mom after this because you just
Oh,
brought
yeah.
back a memory when my short term of a ballerina, and it's preschool age, it has to be.
yeah.
And I didn't realize, but I knew at the time I was deathly afraid of Santa Claus, and this was a Christmas production, but somehow I missed the memo at age 3, and I'm a little upset with you, Mom and Dad. Dad's dead, but I'm sure he's hearing me. And Mom, I know you're alive. I'm a little upset with this. Like, you could have given me more of a warning that at the very end finale, Santa Claus is going to come on stage. Lost my shit.
Oh no.
Wanted to save all my ballerinas. I didn't give a crap who was doing the play or the choir. Didn't care about the choir. Didn't care about the other little 3-year-olds on the stage that were doing all.
Right.
So I gathered up my 5 or 6 and I'm like, we are out of here.
Let's go, girl.
And I am screaming and crying. The parents are coming up on stage going, no, we wanted to get a picture with our kid as Santa. And I'm like, we are out of here. I lost my shit at age 3. And I don't think I've ever been on a stage since. No, I'm joking. No, I don't know if I have.
Oh my
And
god.
and it's so funny. You just brought that up. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember talking about this like 10, 15 years ago. And then I forgot about it again. But Santa came
Buried
on
deep in
and
your
the
memory.
show was over. And I just looked around. I remember thinking, I can't protect everybody. I can only protect my ballerina friends. So let's go. And they're
Gotta get
fighting
outta
me.
here.
They want to
Because
see
they
Santa.
want to see Santa.
They want to see Santa. They want their picture.
I'm
And
the
just
same
like,
as
what
you,
is
though.
wrong with you? Go, go,
didn't like
go.
Santa?
Army girl.
I didn't
Save-
like Santa either. Or the Easter Bunny. I was like
Well,
afraid.
the Easter Bunny's fucked up.
I
A
was
giant rabbit.
I was afraid of people in masks.
I
because
was
you can't
too,
see what's
actually.
going on behind there. So
Yep.
yeah, my
I didn't
my
like
poor
it either.
parents. They
Yep.
they didn't. I think she got one picture of me with
I think they
each
have an
thing, but I was like,
They actually have, I think, a psychological word or whatever for children that are afraid of individuals in masks
I didn't
or whatever.
like it.
But hey, Mom and
The
Dad,
Red
I love
Robin
you,
mask,
but I don't know
can't.
why you couldn't have said, or come and get me before Santa comes on the stage.
right, like maybe she didn't realize.
Maybe they thought I got over it or
quick
something.
one
But
up.
But I've never seen,
Heads up.
and this is one of those old fashioned stages. Like I've never seen my dad wasn't a tall dad, but I've never seen him hop that high to get me off that stage. He's like, she's ruining.
Really?
You gotta get her off of there.
He got you out of there?
Oh yeah, he just jumped up. I don't know where he came from, but he was right there, and then I was gone.
Yeah.
He had a few words to tell him, like, you can't make that decision for everybody else. You can't be so bossy, and you can't be so
Oh
mean.
my
And all.
God.
But then we sat in his truck, and he was like, it's okay, and your mom and your sister are gonna come out, but your sister wanted to see Santa. And then I guess I lost my shit again, going, why would you let her see that guy? You know, and he's just like, we got a problem.
And that was the end of your ballerina days.
That was it.
If I'm doing ballerina or Santa's showing up, I'm not doing ballerina anymore.
That was it.
Ballet.
Which I think most ballerina, I think that's your thing at the end is like
Yeah.
the production of no matter how young you are, how bad it, or how good it is, but the production of Nutcracker, I think, is for a lot of these little girls and these little kiddos that are ballerining for a whole season. They're going to be, in that production. So I had all these high hopes, but nobody told me Santa was going to bomb the party.
Well,
Yeah.
and Santa's not technically in the Nutcracker.
No,
gonna
he's not at
say.
all. This was the end
You
finale,
just get
right?
Drosselmeyer, who's even
Yeah, this is-
creepier, frankly.
Yeah.
Thank you. If he had been in the whole play, maybe I'd be used to him. Thank you. But he just showed up at the end, and I'm like, you have no part here, and I'm saving my belt. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's the end of your career.
And I was
That's
a really short, chubby ballerina too. I did not look like the
Oh,
other
so you were
ballerinas.
so cute.
I was just very heavy. I really was.
I'm
So
sure you were adorable.
I will show you a picture if I can find it.
And so now is our very special time for 5 on the line. We ask all of our guests these 5 questions because, again, we like to kind of loop all of our podcasts kind of back into family because we're obviously doing this for family and all the listeners hopefully gain interest because of their family.
She means hopefully our family will gain interest.
That's exactly what I meant.
Is what she means, but we're
So,
holding strong.
What was your favorite family vacation growing up? Or it could have also been like a recent vacation you have now with your
Your family
husband.
now. It doesn't necessarily have to be when you're little. Unless it triggers something of, oh, this was so great when I was little. But it can be now. It can be. But favorite family trip, because they can go awry.
Oh yeah, I've been on a few of those.
Yeah.
Well, that's your next question.
Yeah.
So I guess my mom and I did this road trip, and this is after my dad passed away. But we did a road trip to Michigan so I could meet her family. I got to meet my aunt and uncle
Leave it to Miss A.
who had
Bring tears to the eyes.
Oh.
Sweet. So you had never met these people before?
No, I hadn't met them before. And she,
How old were you?
so I was, I must have been, it was like kind of I must have been like 13, I would
That's
think.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she took me there because she had been talking about them for years.
I was going to say, were these
was
people
like-
that you get cards from or gifts from or whatever?
Yeah.
This is so-and-so, but you
yeah,
didn't have a
and I
face.
hadn't met them yet. And so this aunt and uncle in particular were very special to her because the uncle was actually the man who delivered her when she was a baby.
Whoa.
And was the reason she was adopted into their family.
Definitely a cool
yeah.
podcast for
So-
another time. Cool story if we could get your mom on here.
Yeah.
Very
That's
cool.
cool.
And so
Very cool.
but they loved my mom, and she had like all these like Michigan summer memories, like flying in a small airplane and like swimming in in Lake Huron, I guess.
And that's probably, those memories are probably what made your mom a great mom.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like
to be in
super
tune with
loving
you.
to her.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to take me out there to meet them, and we went on this road trip, and of course it was like a few disasters, like our windshield wipers flew off in the middle of a storm in Nebraska.
Boom.
And it was like, I don't know, it was like the most intense rainstorm, and we're like going along, and the windshield wiper just went whoop, and like I'm like, oh, that's a problem.
Oh, we might need that. Was it raining?
Yeah, like really hard.
What do we do? Do we keep going?
Oh my
what did your mom
God.
do? Just keep going.
Yeah, we tried to get to a little town to see if they could repair it because it was like the armature actually broke. It wasn't just like the windshield wiper.
Yeah,
It was like
swipes.
Yeah, it was bad. And then, but we made it. We made it to Michigan.
And this is her favorite trip.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
right?
wait.
The bar's pretty low. No, I'm just
No,
kidding. It was really fun though. I got to meet my mom's family, and
What did that make you? Do you remember? Did that put a certain feeling in you to put
yeah.
faces to these people that
Yeah.
loved you unconditionally?
And
Never
your
met you
mom
before.
unconditionally.
Yeah, and they took us in, and it was really nice. It was a fun trip. So
Aw,
Oh,
that's
that's great. What a
amazing.
great sense of just like community and family and support.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Okay.
then what was your
Yeah.
least favorite vacation? That was the best.
But if you
No.
don't say
Wait to
same,
hear
Okay.
what
if you
the
want to
worst
say same damn thing with the windshield flying off, you can say that too.
No,
but
it wasn't
I have a
actually.
feeling you've had worse. I don't.
So I think my least favorite vacation was, we went to Great Basin National Park, which is an amazing park if
How
you
old were
ever
you
want to
at
go
that
there. I was an adult. This was like
That seems to be
this
the
was like
worst.
2 years ago.
Usually when they get back.
When you're an adult and in full control and it all goes wrong.
Yeah. So we went to this park, and it's a dark park.
What do you
There's
mean?
like,
What do you mean?
so they do stargazing, which is actually very cool. So I'm
What
not
makes
trying to
it
bash
dark?
the park. They don't have like
nighttime.
lights.
Nighttime.
Like they
That's
have
nighttime,
like they have
Smart.
these special orange lights that don't cast to
like
So you could literally see like the Milky Way.
So it's
from
made.
park. It's made to be super
Okay.
duper dark
Sorry.
at night, so
Okay.
you can see the stars.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And they have like telescopes. You can stargaze. You can see distant galaxies.
Oh, so this is a whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
cool.
actually pretty cool. But
Very cool.
we camped, so we drove there, and we camped, and it was supposed to be like, like 80s, like
I have a feeling it's
like
gonna get hot.
lovely 80s, and they had like a record heat
See, I'm out.
that blew through, and so it was like 95 degrees every day,
In
and
a tent.
and we didn't have like there's no stores there. It's just a really bizarre place. Like
I picture
they have like
what
a
we
little
think Woodstock would have been, like thousands of people for an event. However, not a lot of accommodations.
stations, exactly.
Okay.
And so there's like no Wi-Fi, no they have a visitor center, but it's only open for like a short window during the day.
So if you're gonna have problems,
if you're gonna have problems, like we
Figure
had
it out.
we
Between
bought
1 and 3.
so many bags of ice, and then there was a little bit of my sister-in-law had a boyfriend at the time, and he was just not a camper,
damn
and it's a little tricky when you don't have a camper in a campsite for like a week.
a week.
And it's hot and everyone's grouchy, and so that was a little bit of a disaster. And then my husband and I went on to
Were you married then?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
This is just 2 years ago, so
You're still together. That's
very
wonderful.
recently.
we're still together.
Yeah.
So we went on to California, and he was going to run the Rubicon Trail in his Jeep.
I didn't
which
realize
is like
this was
a
the same
bucket
trip.
list. It was the same trip. And
Oh my god, that's a big.
it was
trip.
like one disaster after another. So we get on to the trail, and we like had met up with this group of
But
people.
also explain, like, don't you have to put in a slot to be on this trail?
No,
Oh, you don't.
You don't have to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You do
Right.
if you do it during an event, but not for
Oh,
what
okay.
we were just gonna just do it. But it takes like 3 days. It's a very intense. You're probably gonna break
This is a
something
tr-
on
yeah.
your vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a 60-mile trail that takes like 2 to 3 days,
Oh my god.
and it's like super intense. Like you will probably break something on your vehicle.
I had
It's a
asked.
bucket list for
I had
him.
asked her husband
Anyway.
to be on to talk about it, but he doesn't want to, so we need to find somebody else
So anyway,
because it sounds interesting.
so we literally
Because don't you get
Meet
in
up-
line for this? Like,
we met up with a group of people. No, you don't get. You just
Okay.
drive onto it.
but there's not a line waiting.
Not necessarily,
Okay.
unless a big group is coming through. So
Okay.
anyway, so we meet up with this group of people. Long story short, there was a friend of his that was going to be out there at the same time. We kind of got invited into their little group. We're like, this is going to be great. We're all going to have people with us.
Mm-hmm.
If something breaks, we're not going to be by ourselves.
Yeah.
We drive onto the trail. We maybe go like a quarter of a mile, and 3 out of the 7 Jeeps are broken.
No.
Yeah. And not ours. Ours Jeep, totally fine. So then we had...
And they broke from this trail? Or
No, from like
they were just wearing out and they just
super
decided to
awkward
happen.
circumstances. Like one guy he like had invested in a new alternator, and he was like actually prepping for the trail. So he'd invested in a new alternator and like got his Jeep tuned up and ready and did some maintenance. And the alternator was like it had like a fault in it, and it
Oh no.
literally fried his entire electrical system.
Oh no.
So none of these, not necessarily any of these breakdowns, were from the actual trail.
Correct. We hadn't even
Miss
got...
A, that is the universe screaming. I've had to tell Haas that. That's
Yeah.
the universe screaming
that's
at you
awful.
that this is not your time to do this.
Yeah,
You need
and
to
so
turn around
and we did
regroup.
We had
Oh,
we
good.
had to get everybody off the trail, but then we didn't have
Well,
time.
you can't leave your friends. You're right.
Right. So we didn't have time. Well, because it's like a $3,000 tow if you have to get towed off that trail. It's yeah. But we weren't even to the first obstacle. We could see it. We were like, you could walk to it, but we didn't do it.
We kind of wanted to do it.
Kidding.
And so we went down, got everybody off the trail safely, helped them. But we were like, well, now we don't have time to do it because
Well,
we
not
have
only
to
that,
drive
you don't
back
want to
home.
do it alone.
Correct.
I'm thinking you shouldn't do it alone
And so we drove all the way to California
for no
for
reason.
no reason.
God. Oh.
So-
Was your
But she's
husband
still married?
devastated?
He was pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that this was on the back of that other one.
then-
I didn't realize that.
And then like Tahoe, which is where the Rubicon Trail starts, like the day after we left.
And
caught
this
on
is what
fire.
the Jeep Rubicon's
So-
named after, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole trip
deal.
was like we were in like record heat for the areas that we went to. Like Lake Tahoe, we went there and they don't have air conditioning like in most of their places.
Uh-huh.
And it was like so sweltering hot. So
And-
it was just, I felt like I was cooking the whole time.
Okay, what's our next question?
That sounds like a nightmare. Here, you can actually ask it. 5 on the line. Question number 3.
Who was your role model growing up, and has that changed, and why? I think Miss A was her role model, and I don't think it should change, and I think that should keep being her role model.
Because
But
she's
go ahead.
badass.
That's just what I think. But no, who was your role model? And
You know, I guess I had a few, I suppose. I mean, teachers, my dance teacher, my mom, obviously. I mean, my mom was pretty resilient.
I'm actually
Yeah,
jealous.
sounds like
keeping
Your
it,
mom. Like her mom is just rocks.
Yeah,
Her mom rocks.
keeping
Yeah.
things together after
Yep.
my dad passed. But, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I've had many mentors, I guess, through my life, like people that like the previous owner of the studio. There's a teacher actually that works for me. It's so weird to have her be my like person on my staff, but
Mhm.
like I am always asking her for advice and what she thinks I should do.
So what
when
I think
situations
I'm
come up,
hearing is from Miss A is there's these little angels and teachers everywhere. Just keep your eyes open and invite them in. 'Cause
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sounds like you've had a lot, but you've never been in a place where you don't invite them in to collaborate with them or to ask advice or
Yeah.
I like that answer. Like I've had a
Yeah.
lot and they'll continue to have a lot.
And it
And
sounds like you're very open to learning from people and embracing people. It doesn't sound like you're
Embracing
closed
the
off,
good.
and you're not,
Yeah.
you're
embracing
not
the
better
good.
than
and-
anybody. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good that you have different role models and you look up to different people. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, who did you have a favorite pet growing up, and who was that, and what type of pet was that?
Okay. Yes. So
Try
I
not to make
had,
us cry
You
like
can
the
ask
last
the
one.
last question because
Oh, the last yes, just
I know it's
brought
getting
us
us
to
all
tears at the very
teary-eyed.
end. We're like,
Oh.
oh, but go ahead. No, if you have
So,
to bring us to tears, that's what
I
happens.
had this is probably my most
I had a
memorable
goldfish.
pet.
His
Was
name
it
was
Carnival?
Goldie.
No. So I had a cat, and his
Hmm.
he was just
This isn't Patrick, is it?
no.
Okay.
Patrick is an amazing cat.
Is Patrick still around?
Patrick is still around.
I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. I thought he passed, but how
No.
old is he?
Oh, he's like a bazillion.
Okay.
He's like 15, I think.
Okay, sorry.
God.
Th- Okay, so you had a cat.
So I had this cat when I was like a little kid, and it was just he was like my guard dog basically,
Oh.
and he would like follow me around. Like there's like a bazillion pictures of him. Like I'd be like taking a nap, and he would like have his little paws wrapped around me, holding me.
He was just loving you.
Yeah. So, and I think I was an only child too. So I
Sorry
think
about the barking. Willie and Nelson.
he was
are a little out of
probably
control.
like, I probably talked to him a lot.
I bet you did. How long did you have him?
So sadly, he got
Don't tell us he got hit by a
Oh.
car.
no,
Okay, 'cause-
he didn't. He got kitty leukemia, which is, I guess,
Oh, that is horrible.
it's very
It is-
rare. And he was not very old. He was a young kitty. But it's worse on young cats. Actually,
It is. It's like a childhood
It's like
leukemia.
yeah,
Oh
it's
my God.
and he
That's
died like
awful.
he died really quick after we found out he had leukemia. But the vet was just like, I don't know how your cat's still alive. He's like, I think he's staying alive because he like loves
Miss
your
it.
little kid.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause
Oh,
he,
I just
like,
got goosebumps.
Me
Once
too.
he wanted to be with me
With
all the
you.
time, and so
Can you remember how many years you had him?
it was only a couple. I mean, I was like,
So-
I was pretty little. I was like probably under 5.
So to
But
make
he
that
made
But I
that
remember
much of an
him
impact.
in your life
Yeah.
at
Oh,
this
that's
age to be your
nuts.
favorite pet for that reason just gives
Yeah.
me goosebumps.
That's
Yeah.
so
And I
sweet.
mean, I've had other really
Well, of course,
awesome
of
pets as well,
course.
but he was like the most, I guess, impactful.
Yeah.
So we're just always curious when we say, what was the last song on your playlist? What comes to mind? What do you think was the last song? We won't test you.
And we will not judge.
Yeah, and we promise, if it was wrong, it's okay.
It's okay. So it is. I've been listening to a Spotify playlist of Amos Lee. I don't know. It's just been
Amos
my-
Lee. I don't know if I know.
Oh, like Sweet Pea. That
It
song.
sounds familiar.
We might
You-
have to play it.
Amos Lee.
Yeah, you would know. You would know if you heard this song. They play it. They've played it in like a bazillion.
So is
movies
Amos
and
Lee a person
commercials.
or is this a group?
It's a person.
It's a person? Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes,
Is it like country folk kind of.
I think for some reason I'm thinking it's more of a Teddy Swims.
It's kind of folk.
Oh, folk. Okay.
I'm really on the folk game lately, so I'm into it. I'll look into it.
Well, thank you. And what was the name of the song?
I think that it was Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea.
The name of the song.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll listen to it after we close up here.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for answering our 5 on the line.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being on. This was amazing. I didn't realize like your background.
Now we want to have you back.
So impressive.
Yeah, I want to have her back for Pilates and what that's like.
And a business owner. And I want to hear about your car. I love your beautiful car. I'd love to learn more about that.
Oh.
Yeah, I could talk about that for a while too.
Yeah.
Maybe we I don't want to talk about it. I got to be in it like for 3 seconds and it was right after, well, not right after, but kind of close to one of my surgeries. I'm like, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to throw up in her good. I'm going to throw up in her. And all I said when she was like sending me on this like 3-second joyride going really fast, all I could say is don't throw. I'm going to puke. I'm going to throw up. I don't even remember what I said.
Yeah, we did like a launch. And
and I didn't want to throw up in her new car. And like, and then we're done, right? And I looked at her and I'm like, can we go get the rest of me? Because it's way back there on that block that we took off from. So we have to go get the rest of me. But no, we have so much to talk about.
What type of car is it?
So it's a BMW
fast
2022 M240i. So it's pretty spicy. It's not a full M.
Beautiful.
Pretty spicy.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I'd say so.
Fast.
And it's really pretty. I like to sit in it when it's not moving anywhere because I like the colors.
Yeah, it's very pretty color. And
I
it's
could
red
sit in it all day
leather,
long.
right?
Yeah, it's got like a red-ish. It's like kind of this burgundy-ish, like between. It's not super duper bright red,
So
but yeah, it has a
little
red
out when you
interior.
work hard and you stay, with your passion and life gets good. Look what you can afford.
Yeah,
right.
You can afford those dreams.
Fancy, real fast cars.
If that's what's important to you. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we can't wait to have you back.
Awesome.
So remember, stay safe, be even, and when in doubt, go half. Hey, before we wrap up this spin cycle, Haas and I would like to give a quick shout out to those listeners who may be famous. We really do adore you, and even though you do not qualify as an NTRG, not the real guest, we would always love to hear from you. This is Smarge and Haas, keeping it sorted, keeping it real, from the family laundry room. Be safe, stay even, and remember, when in doubt, go half.
Thank you for listening to Dirty Laundry Clean Confessions. Follow us on Instagram at Dirty Laundry Clean Confessions. And if you would like to be the next Not the Real Guest, please email us at dirtylaundrycleanconfessions@gmail.com. We would love to air out the dirty laundry with you.